Where am I? What am I doing? Meditation. Hi everyone, it's Meredith, and welcome back to my Witchcraft series. Today we're going to be focusing on meditation. I absolutely love meditation. It's kind of one of the simplest things you can do as part of your witchcraft. Today I'll be having my friends Riley and Joseph help me with explaining what meditation is. I feel kind of bad because they sent me their footage like literally 3 months ago, and we're making the video now, so So what is meditation? Meditation is a practice where you try to come to a calmer state of mind and being. It's where you try to practice mindfulness and regulating things such as emotions and your attention and awareness, and use your intention to come to a better place. That wasn't really the best definition, but it's kind of hard to define meditation because it comes in many different forms and people perform meditation in many different ways. The overall purpose of meditation is to achieve an overall sense of peace, calmness, happiness, or bliss. Meditation doesn't really have to be used in witchcraft. In fact, it's just a nice little addition to witchcraft. It's not really a witchy thing, but it does help further your practice. Some more practical uses of meditation include its ability to reduce stress. It can calm down anxieties. It can promote self-awareness and emotional health. On more of the witchy side, you can use meditation to come into contact with higher beings, spirits, or spirit guides.
Hello, my name is Riley, better known as Little River Witch, and today I'm going to be talking to you about meditation. I absolutely love meditation because it helps out with, my body, my mind, my whole soul, just everything.
So I'm Joe, although some people might know me as Bigfoot Soup from TikTok, and I have been practicing for 8 years since I was 12. So the form of divination I'm going to be talking about is meditation. It's a great tool to use. I've been using it nearly as long as I've been practicing, actually. I think it's a very diverse form of divination.
Meditation is an amazing practice, especially for mental health and witchcraft. So meditation, like a lot of things in this practice, is extremely personal. You have to really find what works best for you, and it tends to take a while. There's so many different ways to meditate, and so finding what works for you, it might not work for me, but ultimately just stick with it, because it is a really tricky practice to get down, especially in the beginning. But if you stick with it and find what works for you along the way, I promise you it's such a good practice. It'll help with so many aspects of your life.
So basically what meditation is a practice of opening up yourself spiritually to allow for easier communication, sensation, and even manipulation of the energies around you. And this can expand beyond just sort of flows and vibes and whatever. Sometimes it can even be used to contact and allow communication with spirits or spirit guides.
Today I'll be talking about what I do and how I meditate. Again, that might not work for you, but I'm hoping to just throw in some general good tips so you can get a general idea of how to do it and why it helps. I really recommend guided meditations for beginners. I use guided meditations all the time. I think it really helps to have someone else telling you what to do so you can kind of take that extra step and let go. I think if you can, really one of the most important parts is finding a quiet space that feels peaceful to you, that you won't get interrupted in. And then finding a pose to meditate in. There are so many different poses. I mean, you can sit down, you can lay down, you can stand up. I love doing standing and sitting meditations. I'm going to be showing you sitting today because I feel like that's just generally the most well-known. But ultimately, you just want to be in a position where all of your energy is kind of unblocked and aligned, So laying down, making sure none of your arms or legs are crossing, none of your fingers toes are crossed. I don't know why there'd be an issue, but and sitting down, you want to make sure that all your chakras, everything, all your energy is just generally aligned. But ultimately, you want to find a pose that really allows you to just let go and that you feel comfortable in. Because the whole main thing about meditation is finding this place within yourself where you can go into this deep trance-like state and really let go of everything else that's going on around you and in you, and just focus on the present. I like to use a meditation pillow. So I'm sitting on it right now, but I have a just general little cushion pillow thing that I sit on whenever I'm meditating, because it helps me not only keep my posture good, but really helps ground me. So I'm gonna pop this bad boy down. So as for steps when it comes to meditating, using meditation for divinational purposes is often kind of tricky. I mean, meditation in general is tricky, but usually it's a little extra tricky to meditate on something for the purpose of clarity or whatever you're looking for. And so ultimately, whenever you're starting any meditation, really centering yourself first. So finding that position, that quiet space, and then quieting yourself. So I always like to say body, mind, spirit. So first, quieting and calming and centering your body. Really focusing on your breathing. That is a huge aspect when it comes to meditation. So, there's many different ways people say is the correct way to breathe when meditating. I don't think it's that pivotal. I think find what works best for you. However, when I first start out in meditation, I do like to inhale through my nose and exhale through my mouth, and really taking deep conscious breaths. And when I'm starting to meditate especially for divination purposes, I really like to visualize breathing in this clear light and then exhaling any negative energy, really out of the pit of my stomach or wherever you feel like you're holding negative energy. That's a huge thing with meditation too. You really want to focus on your body and anywhere that you're holding stress or tension or negative feelings, and breathing through those and letting them go so you can be completely centered, completely in the moment. So starting out by doing that, closing your eyes, relaxing any muscles in your face that you're still holding tension in, and just kind of really visualize centering yourself. If you like to ground yourself, doing that, visualizing your energy coming down like roots into the ground, hooking you into the ground, the ground's energy, the earth's energy coming up, filling you, really centering and tethering you there. So once you've taken a few really deep breaths, you've calmed yourself, you've relaxed your body, then working on your mind. So really acknowledging any thoughts that come through your mind. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed in meditation because you're trying so hard not to think of anything. But it's not the absence of thought. It's just being present enough that your thoughts aren't really there. So I don't know if that really makes sense, but if you have a thought, just simply acknowledging it, taking a second, and then just letting it go, because you are trying to focus as much as you can and just existing and being in this moment. So if I'm meditating, a lot of times I'll think about things that I have to do throughout the day, that'll pop into my head, and I'll acknowledge it, but realize this thought isn't necessary right now for this very moment. It can wait, and just letting it go and continuing to just exist, really focusing on your breath. If you have a hard time quieting your mind, focusing on your breath is a really great way to do that. I like to visualize my breath as an ocean. So, whenever I breathe in, the tide going out, and then breathing out, the tide going in, kind of getting this ocean type feel. A lot of people like to count their breaths as a way to really focus and center themselves. So just acknowledging anything that's going on around you, but letting it go, knowing you don't need to think about those things, you don't need to control those things. If you hear any sounds around you, just acknowledging them, but not letting them interfere.
And the main method I find that helps the most is one that I looked into about 5 years ago, because before I used to just sort of like get myself into like a really comfortable space and like, okay, focus on the earth, focus on space, whatever. But I actually use a form of meditation called grounding. And the way you do it is you allow yourself to be preferably somewhere quiet. You put yourself into the headspace of like, you just sort of push out any negative thoughts, and you imagine yourself in a forest. And I mean, you have to imagine the sound of the earth, the smells of the forest, the light just sort of like pushing through the tree canopy, and you focus yourself in that space of being in the forest. And then what you slowly do is you imagine yourself becoming a part of the forest. So your body, pushing up and growing into a tree trunk, your arms stretching out and becoming branches, your feet burrowing into the earth and spreading out like roots. And it's through, the most important part is through the roots. You form a network of energies beneath yourself, and allows you to tap into that spirit, that power. I call it Gaia. Other people have different names for it, but it allows you to contact the energies around you, essentially, and you bring that energy into yourself.
So once you've taken that time to center your body, center your mind, then comes the spirit aspect, or soul, or whatever you want to call it. And so this is kind of where the divination side of meditation comes in. A lot of people tend to just meditate for meditation. A lot of people don't meditate on something, they just meditate. That's something that I do a lot. But I am going to take you through that extra step to kind of enhance a little bit more of a witchcraft side of meditation. So once you have really centered yourself, you're starting to really feel deep into the meditation, slightly bringing back your consciousness and focusing it on this thing that you want, clarity for, or someone you want to have communication with. Whatever your purpose is, focusing just a little bit on it, not enough that you're pulled out of the meditation, but just kind of getting it in the back of your head and continuing to really just focus on that thing. So taking that time to really just let this question or this presence or whatever you are trying to get or figure out or achieve, letting it really just exist and coexist with you, and then visualizing it and you in this situation. So if you're meditating for the purpose of finding your life purpose, for example, imagining yourself really vividly on this path of self-discovery, literally visualizing this path. Or if you're trying to meditate to communicate with a deity, visualizing yourself in a place that you feel peaceful in and calling to them, just seeing if this image of them, if this person appears, and just not forcing it, just going with the flow, really listening to your intention, really listening to your intuition. That's a huge part of meditating for a specific purpose, is finding this inner higher self voice. And it's really hard. It's something that I really struggle with, trusting myself enough to say, I have let go enough that what is unfolding before me is genuine. I get really paranoid that I am thinking of these things just because I want to and because I want to get these answers, and so I'm just thinking of them and it's not really coming to me truly. But ultimately you just have to trust if you feel like you are making this up and it's not happening or whatever, taking that step back and once more really releasing, detaching yourself from the situation and then looking at it again. So really just tapping into your intuition is super important, and then staying there.
It's quite a common practice at this point. It stretches across loads of cultures, and it's really helpful because it allows you to sort of look inside yourself and sometimes see traits that you wouldn't normally see. Once you've got yourself into that state, a lot of people, they use meditation for different things. Some people use it to communicate with loved ones, sometimes it's for spirit, sometimes it's for deities, but most people, and I personally, I see it as a preparation for death. I think that when you meditate, you are preparing yourself for the nothingness ahead, and it lets you realize that even without a physical body, without all the external stimulus, is that energy and that feeling of your soul and your consciousness, and how it feels so tangible. So that's how I use it. I use it and I feel it's just sort of this is me, without all the unnecessary meat and bone and nonsense that comes along with it. So yeah, it's sort of like reflecting on your character and reflecting on your spirit and your true self.
Staying in meditation is often really tricky, but just really trying to let go. Meditation and the purpose of meditation is really centered around being completely present. If you can be completely present with yourself, there are no worries about the future or the past or what is going on around you, because you're simply just existing. Meditation is not the absence of thought at all, especially with divination purposes. It's just being extremely aware and being aware enough and present enough that you can really just let go. And ultimately just practicing a lot and just not being hard on yourself, because it is a really, really tricky practice. It took me forever to figure out what really worked for me. Ultimately, it's really about tapping into your intuition and just your higher self and really letting go. Yeah, so ultimately, to recap, just really, like I said, centering your body, your mind, and then your spirit. So, centering your body, clearing your mind, and then getting in touch with your spirit and getting messages and getting what you need from that. I'll insert some of my favorite guided meditations on YouTube, like right here. And I highly recommend checking them out if, they're what you're looking for. They're ones that I find work really well. Good luck. I always super vouch for meditation and practicing meditation. It's an amazing, amazing practice, because not only does it, help you learn things about yourself, but in general, it's just a really good thing for yourself to do. Really good self-care practice.
You don't have to do this every day. You don't have to meditate every day. You can meditate, you can meditate whenever you want. Like, I usually meditate like once or twice a week, just to, ground myself and center myself throughout the week. If I need it more often, I will do it more often. But people think, in order to come to a calmer state of mind, you have to meditate every day. No, you don't. You really don't. It's up to you. Saying this again, there's no one single way to meditate. It's really whatever works for you. Something I want to quickly talk about: if you have a lot of trouble sitting still and you find trouble meditating because it requires you to sit still, that's okay. You can do something called movement meditation. Movement meditation is where you're doing a repetitive, consistent act that either calms you or centers you, grounds you. This could either be in the form of, you could do running or painting, cooking, sewing, any nice, calming act. Whatever works for you can be used as meditation. Meditation doesn't just revolve around sitting and regulating your breathing. You don't have to do that. I know that there's a lot of people who find trouble having the ability to sit still. As long as you're doing something that either makes you happy or allows you to think and go in with that intention, or allow yourself to reflect and assess certain things within your life, then that's totally fine. That's a form of meditation. It doesn't have to be sitting crisscross with your eyes closed. Final summation: it doesn't have to be a whole sit-down thing. You can meditate in any sort of way you want. Reinforcing the statement that there is no one way to meditate. You just do what works for you. So I think that is about it for this episode. Thank you for joining me in my backyard. I do enjoy it out here. It's really nice. We need to mow the lawn though. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this, and if you have any questions, please let me know either in the comments or through my different contacts in the description below. Anyway. And I will see you in the next episode.